Pythagorean's theorem. Why is it a theorem? Is it not proof? Has it not been proven? Come on. Why you never had a chance to pretend you understood quantum physics. I'll cover that. Do you know a use for a goose or a pontonoose? Do you politely nod and say, "Hi, pontonoose"? Don't turn around. Oh, the commissar's in town. Hypotenuse is the opposite of a right angle. Is that line? That was a long way for a pun, but that might be the only fun for the rest of this information packed Paco podcast ministry. Now, if A squared plus B squared equals C squared, that's not a theory. That's proof. You're welcome. Learn this and you may be soil cultivated. Also, the right side of any right angle is a hypotenuse. We'll get into that. Did you know I entered a 5K race tomorrow? When we leave the house, it's going to be about, I don't know, 5 or 10 degrees, but they say by race time it'll be up in the 20s. And, we get weird weather here in the valley. Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood was Armageddon. The Mud Flood was the Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. Needless to say, I want to get this out of the way. Oh, man, look, it's gone. Can you see it when I look for the thing, this thing, to keep you from getting the copyright strikes? They copyright strike I got strikes for everything, man. But I have some of those screenshots. You know how I like to do it. Look, in 2021, I was making videos called Nephilim versus Human. Nephilim are human too. 2021. This isn't a whim with me of trying to prove that the Bible just is not an Enoch book. Enoch is for people on the wide road. I got a lot of our 2023, our Nephilim human. I've got some videos. Look at this. Somebody sounds like a child, LM777, got two different timelines. Now they're breaking it out on the Book of Jubilees. And whenever you see the LXX, that's the Septuagint. So in the MT Masoretic text, they're saying too early, can't be correct. Another one of these people, like what I went through recently with what the brainwashed Septuagint people will not go through to try to trick you into reading their Kabbalah. It's Kabbalah. Gold standard, post-war Bretton Woods, fiat system, tokenized money systems. If you've watched, 6 years, these things are not new to you. Some of you that have been around, you know more about Bretton Woods and the fiat money system than most people. I got that thumbnail and this map from a computer, Autistic Enlightenment, 246 subscribers, 246. They're just AI programmed to get links, but they're showing North America When it's a globe, this is a globe. So this is not a good map. This is all Roman Catholic Jesuit theosophy. They all fake this stuff. These things are probably pretty accurate, but it's a globe. This I don't think is a globe. I think this is a flat Earth map, one of the early ones, but I could be wrong because no, I think it is flat Earth map, but it's showing the center as something different than what they normally show. Nothing going on in America. The year of our Lord, they were ruled with a rod of iron. They had to act Christian as they were messing it up. So it was incognita. But a lot going on out here in math fractal world of the royals, right? Again, it's a globe where you pretend Jesus is at the North Pole. That's all part of the Atlantis brainwash system. Italian. The North Pole. They even show a little, oh, that's an A, but again, North America, not really filled in as much as the other parts, is it? Was always going to be the kind of mystery thing. I think it was Egypt. What's going on down here? Animals in the South Pole? Where's I know it snowed some. It mentioned snow in the Bible. Again, America missing. Something going on weird. Just be covering a lot today. Another missing America. They weren't on the boat or on the plane. They weren't going to America. They didn't even know. Look at Ethiopia wasn't a small little country over here. It was everywhere. Ethiopia, if that sounds familiar, you might be thinking of the Queen of Sheba ruled the Ethiopia. I'm thinking Jerusalem is buried right in here where I had my mouse, where my mouse is again, the little hand. I don't know why it's a hand, but here's the Mercator thing everybody misunderstands. They think it's a flat earth map and they think that Jesus is waiting at Mount Marahu. You're going to be going boo-hoo. Another fun pun. Said it maybe would be, if you call that fun. Hey, the NATO veterans say Trump has crossed a red line. I think I showed that. Neutrinos have mass. There's that weird girl. Well, I'm back at what I've seen. It's the center of Mount Zion. Mount Marahu is. So I looked up, did Pythagoras' theory ask questions? Yes, it did. It often led to questions, discussions. He's the first guy, man, studying the university, nature of reality. So he said. Anyway, here's the big thing. The theorem written as equation, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It states that the area of the square whose side would match, this is the hypotenuse. I made fun of that funny word. But if you extend it out to a square, and then it equal to the sum of all of these, so you have it. And this has fascinated people, but it's a proof. It's been proved. Why confuse what is a theorem, germ theory? There's proofs, and then there's dark matter and those type of things. But Pythagorean, you couldn't have done it without it. When it was discovered, they try to say he believed in a globe. they get into that early because they don't want anybody to think the truth, I guess. No authentic of writings has survived. Okay, well, that makes it easy to make him say what you want him to say. Anyway, as I read it over and they try to put him on, he believed it was a globe, Aristotle too. It is a shame, but you're not going to be able to get past it. The wide road will not be pushed off it. The Platonic solids, the images that are patterns of themselves, a square, this one would be a triangle, dodecahedron, icosahedron, tetrahedron, a cube. It's something that they've always made a big deal about. The Freemasons, Jesuits, and theologians love them. I think I'm going to do the Bible study last here. If anybody's here, I want to say hi. Hey, 8 people. Saturn's cube. A lot of things going on with Saturn's cube. Let's check this out. This is wild. Federal cops. I showed that one earlier. Is there one that wants to jump out at me? This one, and recently RJ sent me one about not only the Wizard of Oz, but Mary Poppins. That might be one we want to look at. But silver slippers much?
From my normal ancient history
This
topics
is a
because
computer,
the
I
Wizard of
believe.
Oz story is back in theaters, and this is pretty interesting stuff. I like the story. You probably think you know the story of the wonderful Wizard of Oz, a girl from Kansas, a yellow brick road, and a few very unusual traveling companions. But here's what most people don't know. When L. Frank Baum wrote the book in 1900, not the movie, the book that started it all, the United States had just gone through one of the worst economic crises in its history, the Panic of 1893. Banks failed, businesses collapsed, farmers.
Now, bear with me. Remember, the Panic of 1893 that I talk about, it was planned. It was how they funded things. They did all the silver mining in Leadville, Colorado, 2 miles high. We live where nothing but silver, gold, and those things are. But one man, a Guggenheim, sold out in 1893 at the very top of the market and left town a month before it crashed. And it was all because the United States quit being backed by silver and they stopped buying 2 million ounces. They were guaranteed to buy 2 million ounces a month, and then they didn't. One man cashed in. It was Guggenheim. It was silver. That might be something that somebody else could add to the story to make it easier to go, that's not the one.
Farmers lost their homes. It was like the whole country got dropped into a tornado. See what I did there? So, what if Oz wasn't just a fantasy story, but an allegory? A story where characters and places represent real ideas. From what I've read, Baum never confirmed the 1890s. The Great Depression and the Dust Bowl were still about 40 years into the future, but this was pretty bad all by itself. Dorothy represents everyday Americans just trying to find stability when life keeps blowing off course. Her dog Toto may come from the Latin in toto, meaning in total, comes up with plans. He stays calm and ends up being the most logical one in the group. Meanwhile, in real life, farmers were organizing the populist movement, fighting for fair railroad shipping rates, better loan terms, and changes to the money system. They weren't brainless. Washington just ignored.
No, yeah, they weren't brainless. They were simply ignored and then beat down.
lost not only their health, but their sense of humanity. The Tin Woodman believes he has no heart, but he's actually the most caring character in the group, always worried about hurting others. Baum's point: workers weren't heartless, the system was. And just like the Woodman, who
Wow, is this guy really getting into it?
about the 21st century, throughout the book, the lion keeps waiting for someone else to give him courage, just like politicians who look powerful but don't act unless the public pushes them. And here's the twist: he already has courage. He stands up to danger anyway. He just doesn't believe he does. So the message: some leaders aren't actually weak, they just never follow through.
There was another one that had a better type message, but you kind of get the point. It was let me see if it's still a part of the situation in my email. I might, because sometimes I started getting rid of them. This one was a little better.
The story you think you know about Dorothy and her ruby slippers is a lie. Hollywood changed one crucial detail when they made the 1939 movie. One detail so dangerous, they had to bury it. In the original book, Dorothy's slippers weren't ruby, they were silver. Those silver slippers held a secret message about the greatest financial conspiracy of the 1890s, a coded warning about corrupt bankers, fraudulent politicians, and a rigged
See that Freemason symbolism?
system designed to crush ordinary Americans. L. Frank Baum hid this message in a children's story, knowing it was the only way it would survive. He embedded clues in every character, every road, every piece of magic. Once you know what to look for, everything about this beloved tale transforms into something far darker and far more dangerous than you ever imagined. The year was 1890. The setting was Aberdeen, South Dakota. Belonged to the
All right, we're going to come back to that beginning, but right now, again, who was Frank L. Baum?
Theosophical Society.
What? He was a member of the what?
And Gray. The prosperity is an illusion maintained by forcing Americans to see poverty as prosperity, collapse as recovery, all because the glasses of economic theory said it must be so. L. Frank Baum belonged to the Theosophical Society, a mystical organization that believed
Started by Blavatsky, finished up with Aleister Crowley, the guy who did the rockets, Jack Person. Come on.
all authority was corrupt and enlightenment came only from within. But he didn't find this philosophy in books. He learned it
No, and the story about the simple man who lost a store because of the silver crisis, he was groomed. And it does seem that we had start to be more aware of the hand that rocks the cradle and always got custody of the children until a few years ago when so much fraud was brought out that, wow.
at his own dinner table. His mother-in-law was Matilda Jocelyn Gage, and history has tried very hard to make you forget her name. In the 1870s and 1880s, she was the most radical woman in America, so radical that Susan B. Anthony told her to tone it down. While other suffragettes wanted women to vote, Gage wanted to burn the
A
entire
couple of these women look like they need to stand a little closer to the mirror when they shave. Something.
system to the ground. She wrote that Christianity was a deliberate conspiracy to enslave women, that marriage was designed to steal.
So, did you ever wonder where that came from? It's the Theosophical Society, anything but Christ. That is their new ABCs. They're not hooked on phonics. They barely use them.
Female power, that the government was an elaborate fraud. When young Frank Baum married her daughter Maud in 1882, Gage saw an opportunity. Here was a creative young man who could be taught the truth. When Baum started telling his children stories about a magical land called Oz, Gage listened carefully. Then she grabbed his arm. "Write them down, Frank," she commanded. "Children's minds are still open. They haven't been crushed yet." Crush ordinary Americans. L. Frank Baum hid this message in a children's story, knowing it was the only way it would survive. He embedded clues in every character, every road, every piece of magic. Once you know what to look for, everything about this beloved tale transforms into something far darker and far more dangerous than you ever imagined. The year was 1890. The setting was Aberdeen, South Dakota. A 2-year drought meant no rain. No rain meant no crops. And that meant Baum's neighbors were dying. Mrs. Henderson came to his store, the same woman who'd bought.
So he lost his store, but he was already married. They already knew this was coming.
While the men pleaded for mercy, the harsh conditions saw their farms foreclosed. Baum's store was dying too, his ledger filled with IOUs from families already gone. When he finally closed Baum's bazaar, he wasn't just another failed businessman. He was a witness. He'd watched empathy as something that would traumatize any child. Not a bumbling old man, but a monster. Baum describes him precisely: the size of an elephant, with the head of a rhino, 5 eyes, 5 arms, 5 legs, and covered in hair. This abomination makes a demand. Dorothy, a child, must murder the Wicked Witch of the West. He doesn't ask her to defeat or capture the witch. He demands that she kill her. Murder is the price of going home. Oz demands violence, and the violence Dorothy commits would shock modern readers. She and her companions kill approximately 100 beings during their journey. Wolves torn apart, crows with necks snapped. The message was clear. The path to overthrowing power requires blood. Lots of it. Next is the Tin Man, whose origin story belongs in a horror novel. His name was Nick Chopper, a regular man who fell in love with a Munchkin girl. The Wicked Witch of the East didn't approve, so she cursed his axe. The first time he swung it, it cut off his leg. He had a tinsmith make him a new one. The next swing took his arm. Another tin replacement.
So on and so
Then
forth.
not the organ, but his soul, his ability to feel human connection. This is what Baum saw industrialization doing to American workers. Each day in the factory, you lose a piece of yourself, replacing humanity with efficiency, trading flesh for metal until nothing remains but a hollow machine, wondering why it feels nothing anymore. Unable to rest a mind that never stops. Every single night, he watches his companions sleep while he remains frozen, alert, thinking. This is the American farmer Baum knew, lying awake every night, calculating debts that multiply in dark
Well, I don't
character.
know. I don't know. Maybe silver shoes, silver
Was
slippers.
satire, and the contemporary readers knew exactly who Baum was mocking. This was William Jennings Bryan, and every detail confirmed it. Picture the Chicago Coliseum, July 9th, 1896. The Democratic National Convention is in chaos. The party is splitting over the gold.
So that's your world today. I wonder if they're the ones who did the Mary Poppins one. But it's all about who's going to do the silver. Okay,
Melts at the touch of anything pure.
that's what we just watched. I saw another one besides The Wizard of Oz, and it was about Mary Poppins. And it's an anti-man story. If it's the one I can find that I watched, Things Only Adults Notice. Looks like I looked at that one. I was interested in it. But they take the banker, he's the bad guy, The girl who only wants to go vote, she's the good girl that, we should listen to. Saving money is bad. Well, we don't have time for that. The Lord is saying no. We're going to go with, we looked at that. So here's some of the pictures here. Nephilim are human too. Is this the one from 2021?
Welcome everybody to Mudflood Was Armageddon.
4 years
Mudflood
ago.
Was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything. Man, this is, to me.
Hey, RJ, are you available? Oh, okay. I'm going to put a link in there if you want to hop in. Alrighty. That was RJ. He's going to be joining us pretty soon. He resent that Mary Poppins one, and I'm so glad you did. Let's go back to the thing. How fathers were destroyed. So it was a screenwashed.
People often think of the 1960s as the Walt Disney Company's family-friendly golden age. Those films are viewed as a representation of what entertainment could be like when it's not pushing an agenda or trying to trick the audience into embracing some sort of fringe belief. Anyone who thinks that couldn't be more wrong.
Hey, that's the baker
1960s
from
were
Mary
ground
Poppins.
zero for a massive cultural shift happening in the United States. And ideas like the hippie movement and the feminist movement, while not popular in the mainstream at the time, were already quietly being embraced by the artists and creatives making Disney's films. So, when Walt Disney put together a team to make Mary Poppins in 1963, whether or not he knew it, his family-friendly movie about a magical nanny became one of the earliest films to screenwash resistant audiences in favor of a rising wave of counterculture beliefs. This is the story of how Mary Poppins screenwashed American children into joining an ideology their parents had already rejected, and in the process created the disaster comfortable. Disney's version rewrites it into something softer, shinier, and far more ideologically driven. P.L. Travers hated everything about Disney's movie and strongly objected to all of it, loudly claiming that it totally subverted and misrepresented the values she was trying to teach kids in her books. The changes start with Mary Poppins herself, who in the books is not a fun, whimsical character who lives her life indulging the fantasies of children. Travers' version of the character is stern, impatient, and distant. She's not very nice most of the time, and she's incredibly strict.
Well begun is half done.
She never nurtures, she only corrects. Her goal is to help the children in her care become better adults.
Spit spot.
The movie version takes the opposite approach. She puts on a stern front, but ultimately, Mary Poppins is indulgent and encouraging of whimsy and fantasy. She looks down on practicality and uses shortcuts like magic to help the children avoid doing actual work. The movie itself sneers at anything that is.
You know, one thing I can't stand, RJ, is a movie that sneers at the audience.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a vaccine for that or what?
I don't know. But hey, I entered a race. I'm going to get picked up tomorrow at 9:30 and 10 o'clock, start a race for the 5 kilometers.
So what's the outlook for Weather Watch?
They're thinking low. It's going to be actually nicer here than most places in America. 20 degrees, very low wind.
Well, enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be running. The guy that's taking me is the defending champion. He won last year.
Sure.
So I got the T-shirt and the thing, and I'm always talking about you should stay in shape and you should be able to carry your mom up a hill. And so I thought to myself, well, I haven't ran in I don't forever, but it's 3.2 miles. I'm gonna act like I'm gonna run to Walmart and back. Get a trophy. Maybe see how I do. All I have to do is
Right.
beat, a little over a 9-minute mile was the guy who won in my age group last year. So anyway,
Nice
back.
little challenge.
Anything really struck you about what to look for? The 7 people that are sticking around to watch, a spoonful of sugar make the medicine go down. Mary Poppins, what's your big takeaway?
Well, yeah, as far as what was traditionally accepted, yeah, getting the spouse, from the husband's point of view, get the spouse out of the home. Yeah, have someone else raise or at least take, watch the children. There'd be someone else's responsibility, at least during the day. And then, yeah,
That was common, yeah.
and then what he did, the father for career, to them, totally sucked to be the breadwinner and single income. Yeah, you have to tear that down for
Yeah,
sure.
the more I see, is the movie showing mudflood aqueducts and things like that? What's going on here? I'd like to know more
The
about
wall hanger.
what
Yeah.
else the movie really did, because as we'll see, it was filmed in an old mud flood house. Go, Mary! Oh wait, that's the picture, not the actual.
Isn't
Go,
purely
Mary!
fun and goes out of its way to push the idea to viewers that a child's life should be little more than dancing on the ceiling. That approach makes the movie's villain Mr. Banks.
Play games, sing songs, give treats. Ridiculous?
In the books, he's not the villain. He's a normal father and treated as a valued member of the household and leader of the family. In the movie, Mr. Banks is treated as a monster,
I do expect a certain decorum.
and the film ends by literally telling him to go fly a kite. But on paper, there's nothing villainous about what Mr. Banks is doing. He occasionally suggests that his wife should take her family responsibilities more seriously.
Winifred, where are the children?
I don't know, George.
You don't know.
He wants his kids to be well-mannered and respectful.
Tradition, discipline, and rules must be the tools.
He wants to take his son to work and teach him how to get a job. He tries to help his kids learn the value of money and wants them to open a savings account of their own. These things...
You guys, you get it? Look at this, the feed the birds thing.
evil is the person saying them, then people will associate those ideas with evil. It doesn't matter how reasonable or illogical those ideas might be. The famous feed the birds moment in Mary Poppins is the biggest, most manipulative, emotional knife twist. A kindly old woman sells breadcrumbs. The child wants to help her.
Please, may we feed the bird?
The father suggests the money could be
It's a
saved
mud
instead.
flood
When we
building,
get to the
man.
bank, I shall show you what may be done with your tuppence.
The film frames this as a moral
You can
failure.
help fake building a civilization for the theosophists. Toppins, toppins, toppins for birds.
The camera lingers, the music swells, the audience is trained to feel that prudence is cruelty.
Mud flood.
They are smiling each time.
It reframes responsibility as emotional coldness.
I do expect a certain decorum.
It quietly tells children and the
Mud
parents
flood.
watching with them that planning ahead is somehow less virtuous than impulsive generosity.
Feed the birds. Tuppence a bag.
This was also one of the core beliefs of the early 1960s counterculture
There
movement.
you RJ's. Look at that was RJ when he was young.
Oh yeah.
Of course she's saying it. What else would she be saying?
Long-term planning was framed by hippies as submission to the system. That's not in a movie like Mary Poppins by accident. That's intentional conditioning.
There's me.
Mr. Banks isn't wrong. He's right. Saving money is good advice. Teaching a child that money has future value is one of the most important lessons any parent can give. But Mary Poppins turns that into a character flaw because the story has a set of subversive ideas it's delivering.
It's that Poppins woman.
That's the only reason Mr. Banks is in the movie. He screenwashes the audience against the basic common sense family values that were popular at the time.
Man, where I live, RJ, there is no. You'd think everything's gay, almost. Hey, look, here she comes on the clouds. That's a Mudflood dome.
Oh, please, Mary Poppins.
Please? Oh, well, if we must, we must.
She rewards emotional indulgence. She ridicules discipline. She makes authority figures look foolish. She trains the children to associate joy with rule breaking and resentment with structure. This is classic emotional reframing. Emotional reframing is a persuasion technique where a person, story, or message changes how you feel about an idea without changing the facts of the idea itself. Mary Poppins doesn't argue with Mr. Banks. She outshines him. She doesn't prove him wrong. She makes him look irrelevant. That's how propaganda works. You don't refute the opposing idea. You make it feel old, uncool, and joyless.
I do expect a certain decorum.
Even
What if you are really kind of uncool? I mean, no, people don't hang out with me because it's like, dude, you're so cool. At all. Here's this other guy. You know Brian. He has a bunch of channels. Now this one,
Hey,
tell
this
me
is
what
Brian.
you
Welcome
think
back
of
to
this, because what's his point? And anybody in the audience or the comments later, what do you think? Because this girl, she's all about freedom of the speech, and she's not leaving this public ground, and she's going to tell these people that they're illegal immigrants and they should be removed. But she's also appealing to Trump, who is taking away slowly. The liberals want this. I'll let Brian explain it. And here's some of the deal.
All group?
No, I'm not.
And you're a counterfeit.
I'm media.
Are you here with this group?
I'm here with media.
You need to move.
They're thanking them for writing me a
Let's
ticket.
go. You're being detained for a ticket. Over here.
Tell me
We
how this is
designate
private
First Amendment
property.
area. I'm sorry
This
that
is
you
my
don't know
First
the rules
Amendment.
and regulations. I'm sorry.
Oh man, this is gonna be good.
You're not allowed to stick your mic in my face. So step back and get it out of my face.
Donald Trump's federal officers are out of control once again in removing minorities from federal lands. Just kidding.
No matter where you stand on the political spectrum, Donald Trump's federalized forces, the same federalized forces he wants to add an additional layer of federalized qualified immunity to, are just as much tyrants as the local and state police departments are. And they are merely order followers, conformists who are doing what they're told, regardless of if it's right or not, if it's constitutional or not, if it's moral or not, instead of doing what is right, regardless of what they're told.
Actually, Democrats ordering federal agents to have me removed this time. So here we go.
Democrats are ordering Donald Trump's federal agents to have her removed for free speech, which is a violation of the First Amendment. So the Democrats, the damn liberals, want to use Donald Trump's forces to violate.
How does it get to this point, RJ? I mean, for me, I can't stand any. I quit voting in 2012, but I think the rigged system obviously stole the election from the lesser of the two evils and gave it to Trump. That whole thing of the pandemic, everybody vote now by mail, that stinks to high heaven. The accusing who I think is one of the worst men in the world of violently inciting an insurrection, he didn't do that. He's raped women, he's paid off, he's flown with Epstein, but he did get elections stolen. And I don't feel sorry for him, but where do we go? You can't just say I want to pick a party, because I'm out, man.
Well, from my perspective, is as far back, the history of the United States. I think the main foundation is corruption.
The main foundation is corruption. Oh
And
man, you see, people keep looking for that good guy, that whether it's their Gavin Newsom or their I used to be a man, but now I'm a girl and I want to be your mayor. Yeah, let's vote for her. That's new. People didn't used to do that, man.
But what I was getting at, I think it's the human element, and there was corruption, well before, the United States came into existence. Even though this is allegedly the new world, no, there's nothing new under the sun, and when it comes to motives and intent, a lot of times, yeah, that is contaminated.
All right. Well, I can tell that fake brown bear is engaged, and I know that other people will be engaged later. Now, Adonijah and Absalom.
But either whether it's more intensified or just when it comes to evil, in general.
Evil is what we're born with. What I'm getting about with Adonijah and Absalom is they are King David's son.
You look at all the corruption that's just in our lifetime, and why it's culminating
because there's sin in people.
No, but it's like this isn't the grand finale yet, but every day we're getting a step closer.
But this is something. This weekend, this silver rally, this I want to take Greenland, this ice storm, this weekend is something.
Well, yeah, with the impeachment of Trump, all the
right. And I wanted to people to mention that even if RJ, myself, no matter who tries, whether it's King David, he had 2 sons that tried to kill him. One of them raped his concubines. It was a mess. And we're about to be betrayed. The narrow road has wolves in sheep clothing. There are Fabians who set up as their shield a wolf in sheep's clothing, saying that's how you got to do it. You have to infiltrate them. It's the same groups. L. Frank Baum, from the beginning of the Renaissance, Thomas Jefferson, the Hellfire Club, those guys, the ones from Bavaria, they wrote the history. They Mark Twained it, Samuel Clemens. They found tombs and buildings.
Natives weren't saints either, but how they were treated.
Exactly. That's why, blacks, Mexicans, they got genocided. The Croats in Eurasia, the Holodomor, that was terrible. They're not the worst people in the world, but we are all sinners. That's why we can't say, this race.
I'm just saying, as a country, it's hard to believe that there's a more corrupt country in the world than the United States, but that's just me.
Yeah, they're all run by the mafia. I'm gonna wrap up that a little bit more of could be controlled opposition. I mean, that is really some long hair there. So it wraps it up. This goes on and on. It's views, it's clicks, it's good news, but it's also how some people make their living.
How in the minds of a statist, whether you're Republican or
I wouldn't necessarily call it good news, but it's probably reported as fair as anything else. Yeah.
Right. And ICE is out and about. Some cops, Mexican cops are getting racially profiled and want their papers from other cops. And now they're going like, wait, you can't stop and ask for my ID. Well, you guys do it all the time.
Pacify themselves and justify and stay in the comfort level of what cognitive dissonance provides them. Oh, you're a liberal. And then if they find out that it's actually a Republican, a Trump supporter, then they'll just call them a rhino. Oh, you're a rhino. Instead of recognizing statist tyranny for the statist tyranny it is, whether it's Republican or Democrat, whether it's Biden or Trump, it's all tyrannical expression.
I'm going to give you a little information before my lawyer has to do it.
I need your ID.
For what?
Because I'm writing you a ticket.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't have my ID.
You have anything with your ID on?
No.
Okay, get your mic out of my face.
I'm allowed to do this. This is my first.
You're not allowed to stick your mic in my face. So step back and get it out of my face.
Is this good?
Perfect.
Okay.
Do you
So
have
here's the
anything
thing.
with your name on?
No. Ladies and gentlemen, here.
RJ, it's the same thing over and over again. You see in one of these, you see it, but maybe I'm bored of it now. But honestly, it's kind of new where people were doing this thing. Where people are standing up. Let's see what my arguments are in this one. I'm just going to find a spot.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
Life came off the ark.
So as soon as I finally got out of jail, illegally put in jail, I got this apartment, RJ. It looks like, didn't even have curtains, and I decided to make a video. And this is what was important.
The descendants of Christ came off the ark. In Abraham, the gospel was preached that all nations would be blessed through the descendants of him, not only the Hebrews, because Abraham was not Hebrew. So, there we go. Once again, I want to thank you. A dozen people watching. Let's. Elyon is the spirit God, the most high spirit God. I said you are Elohim, and you're children of Elyon. And this word is usually accompanied by 410. He, like Melchizedek, was a priest of God Most High. To separate who you're talking about, there is a spirit God who is the God Most High. He is the.
I think it's important, RJ, that the emphasis of I think what you were trying to get across is that our foundation is that at the time of Noah, humans' minds were continuously on evil. Continuously on evil. And we worry, why worry about Nephilim?
So what's changed?
Yeah.
Well,
and so I'm gonna
the promise, given in the garden, when that promise was fulfilled, yeah, that's what's changed.
I think I had that word of the. I wonder if I just type in ISH. Questionable reading found in Masoretic. That's 786. Here's the one that isn't questionable. It's a man. Ish is, this is a male. This is when you're talking about here's why a man should leave their husband. When we see in old, they were men of renown. Some of them had 6 fingers and toes, but they're always counted as men. Every one of these men spoke after their own language once it was confused. I don't see the problem of what is it? Is it Deuteronomy 10:7, where the polydactyl, six-fingered, six-toed person is called a man? So they bring in children. To me, this is, I'm not going to get tired of it because I
Yeah, the
have
issue
to.
was less to do with, physical characteristics than how they behaved.
Right. Because honestly, I don't look anything like those 6'6" Somali people that can run the marathon, and then I'll jump in the last 200 yards and they'll still beat me. Easy. They're not tired. They've run 26 yards and their jogging is just blowing me away. I'm nothing like those people. We need runners and things, but so that's my thing. The whole thing that it's all around, Genesis 6. We know who are sons, we know who are Ish. And they said, in one of the videos I showed earlier that, Bene Israel is never used as, the sons of God. And I had tons of examples pulled up, and I want to go over some of them now that will start with this word. It is also the firstborn, the man. It is the man, the children, the young, the old, that you're going to build these children. These are the Bene. And it's not like it's an uncommon word. There's a lot of verses where that's a lot of occurrences. And when we go back, we'll say they are the sons of, well, what's that? What's that translate to? So the sons, there are the sons of Israel, and there's everybody else that wasn't Abraham's seed through Isaac, then Jacob, Joseph and all that. Hey, look, Moses,
You're the physical versus the spiritual. Yeah, correct.
Right. We should be more worried. We should be wondering more, like, why was Jesus burning as a bush? Because the Bible's so full of mysteries and other things. We don't need these other books to find things that are,
Yeah, if the Lord can raise offspring from the stones, yeah,
exactly.
I don't think that's implying, genetics. It's a spiritual.
Right, I get it. Those right now, for lack of a better term, giants and Nephilim are sexy, man. It's like it keeps in their world. It's not my words. The people that like that, God killed the Nephilim, they like it because it makes them not so bad. God is now not a genocidal maniac simply killing people. He was killing Nephilim.
Yeah, and although their minds were constantly on evil, that doesn't mean they weren't able to accomplish anything.
Right.
I think there's plenty of evidence.
Now, as far as we go today, how many of us alive have not missed the mark, and extrapolate on that?
Yeah. When it comes to salvation, there isn't anyone that's going to hit the target
no,
on their own.
Left to my own devices,
it can't happen.
Not going to make it to heaven. So there's some more words I wanted to look at. Here's one. Okay, that's Israel. That's the one we just got off. Bene, sons of. Looks like I wanted to hammer that. So, okay, these are some of the many verses that actually put them together. I didn't do the the situation of counting how many there were. There were too many, but the examples of Bene Israel, the sons of Israel, are right there. And well, there's another one. Okay. And now here's Numbers 2064. I guess I wanted to wear you out. There's another one. Come on, Paco. They get it. Oh, man. Anyway, in chapter 26, Isaac's going into Abimelech, the Philistines. Now, mathematically speaking, if A equals B and B equals C, then A and C equals B, whatever it is, that I know that algebra thing. These are not the children of God. They got giants living with them. They need the gospel. Somehow they need John the Baptist, but they don't even have Moses yet. They got Isaac. They got Isaac just barely hanging on, going like, what in the world is
But
this?
yeah, the promise did include the Gentiles. If all nations will be blessed.
But at the time, they were definitely serving Baal.
Segregated, more or less.
And then the Lord appeared to Isaac. Don't go down there. Settle where I'm going to tell you. Go do it. And it's, hey, he's afraid to say she is my wife. Because it's the same thing as in Genesis chapter 12. Let's look at it in, now we got these guys going through it. Abram's going through the same thing with the Egyptians. Hey, tell her that's my sister. Why did you tell me she was your wife? Well, because I know in their culture, if you can beat me up, you can take my wife. And I can't, it would seem from the books and the movies that there were cultures where a guy would say, hey, you don't deserve that girl. I want to fight you, duel you for her. If there is no written laws from the gods yet, what people are doing what's right in their own eyes, if that's their thing, God had to intervene and stop the king he thought Rachel was really, or Rebecca, he thought Rebecca was really cute because he was going to marry her. So I think that's, pretty good proof. She is my wife. The men of this place, and in my situation, it doesn't say these other Bene Israel, some of them might possibly be whatever was their culture's wrapped in on, hey, Rebecca is beautiful. And if they want her, they might say, well, I think I would probably say, imagine what beautiful children I could have with that hot chick, that diva girl, or whatever, whatever the cool thing is to say if she's a hottie,
Mm-hmm.
So that's really all I had that I wanted to finish up from this morning. I don't know. I am a little bit nervous. They assigned me a number for the race. I am number 303.
You're registered, so yeah.
I'm number 303. I've got to pin it on the outside of my shirt when I run so they can scan me and prove that I didn't cheat or something. So I'll keep everybody posted. This is one of those situations where Joaquin tried to talk me out of it today. He goes like, you haven't run in a long time. And I said, yeah, I know, but I really feel like, I do my stretching and I try to do my exercises and stuff. And I'm always about a man should be able to, if somebody needs help, pick them up and carry them. And extrapolating that, a man should be able to run 3.2 miles in less than a half hour if you just stay going. And I kind of want to see how I do. So with that in mind, I'm going to wrap it up. Anything you want to close with, RJ?
Sweet dreams when you get there.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves a flat earth nation. The golden age passed. We're so full of sin, we all have to be driven to our knees by God, confess them, thank Him for forgiving our sins, know we've been changed, confess with our mouth, because to be sure you're going to heaven, we have to die in faith. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakaman. Adios, amigos.